Update. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend said I'm the prettiest when I shut up in front of his friends. Original post. My boyfriend, 25 male, and I, 22 female, were invited to a birthday party of his friend. The people at this event were all close friends of his from his contract job, and I barely know these people. Everything was going fine, and my boyfriend was clearly having a great time. But at some point, I was telling a story from my school days when my boyfriend interrupted and said, OP is prettiest when she shuts up. Everyone laughed, and my boyfriend just kept going, saying, "You guys don't know what I go through. She never stops talking." I swear sometimes I tune her out for my own sanity, or something along those lines. I'm usually really introverted, but when I warm up to someone, I'm the type to talk a lot. So when he said those words, I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, especially since he said it so casually in front of people I don't even know. I tried to brush it off, but I got quiet after that. Later, after the party was over, I told him how hurtful his comment was. He rolled his eyes and said I was being too sensitive, that it was just a joke, and that I was making a big deal out of nothing. He said I embarrassed him by acting cold for the rest of the night, and that I should learn to take a joke. He also told me if I couldn't learn to lighten up, maybe I shouldn't come to events with his friends anymore, even though he was the one who asked me to come in the first place. I feel so awful and confused. Am I in the wrong for getting upset and killing the vibe? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not overreacting. Your boyfriend straight up doesn't like you. If he feels so emboldened to insult you in front of his friends, this behavior will only get worse. OP, why would you want to be with someone who thinks savagely making fun of his girlfriend in front of people she barely knows is a good joke? This was not good-natured teasing. It was quite insulting. Of course your feelings were hurt. Then after all this, he dismisses your feelings? Time to find a new boyfriend. He not only dismissed her feelings, but flipped it around and said she embarrassed him by acting cold in front of his friends. Then basically tells her if she doesn't enjoy his emotional abuse, she shouldn't come to any other get-together with him. She should run, not walk as fast as she can, and let him be someone else's problem. Life is too short to settle. He is an abusive a-hole. I had an ex like that. Never liked it when I spoke out about things. Any man who basically tells you to shut up when you're just telling a story about something is not someone you should be with. Leave him. It only gets worse with the controlling behavior. I had an ex like that too. Kept telling me I spoke too much, so I grew quiet. Then I was told I was not spontaneous enough. I also had an ex like that. I was never allowed to tell stories. After 1 year together, he told me I wasn't allowed to tell people I was a lawyer. I have 2 law degrees, a master's, and I'm a lawyer in 2 countries. He eventually cheated on me and bruised me and held me in a chokehold. These resentful and controlling losers is the kind you stay away from. It will only get worse. Now for the update. I broke up with him. We had been dating for 2 years, and it was the first time he'd acted that way, so I was genuinely conflicted, and I wasn't sure if the joke really flew over my head, but I decided to leave. It takes me a lot of effort to come out of my shell, and I feel uncomfortable staying with someone who doesn't like that. My self-esteem is usually really low, but this time I spoke up for myself for the first time in a long time. We broke up over text. It sucked, since he kept bringing up all his contract job friends over me, again and again. These are people he acquainted with less than 7 months ago, so that alone told me some things. I guess I won't be missing anything since he ended our text with, "Bye IDGAF." Thanks for all the sweet comments. At the time I wrote the post, I was feeling really down and cried a lot. I'm a bit sensitive, so I teared up reading some comments. Thanks again. I hope everyone has a nice day. I foresee him begging you for forgiveness in the near future when he realizes his work friends don't really give a F about him long term. Yup, max 6 months and he'll be back. Like a boomerang. Careful OP, he may hit you. Just remember, don't throw him in open space. Use the trash bin. Honestly, if my coworker said that about his girlfriend in front of me, I would never see him the same way again. He won't be John the pretty good at Excel or John the trustworthy. He would be John the stay the heck away, he is not right in the head. Pretty much, yeah. And given the vast majority of people don't want to start conflicts with work colleagues, what'll happen is that they'll just keep their distance. OP's ex is probably unaware that he's not going to be making any work friends, and his contract is unlikely to be extended as word gets around. She said something about only knowing these guys for 7 months. Sounds like he's already cycled through some groups. My ex did something similar. We went everywhere together. I drove him everywhere due to no license or car. I didn't realize he viewed me as a taxi service. I thought he loved being around me like I did him. We ran into the parents of a girl he never dated but liked in high school, years down the road, and he blew up at me in front of them that I was like his shadow and never gave him any space. I just replied, "Oh, I didn't realize a man with no ability to drive himself anywhere needed space." I walked myself to the car and didn't gain more self-respect for years. I had one like that once. I got up early to drive him to work on his day off. He said something rude to me for no reason, and I told him he acted like he couldn't stand me. He said, "I can't stand you." I pulled the car over and told him to walk to work then lol. Then I went home and moved all my stuff out and into a friend's garage and was gone before he walked home from work. I don't date now. It's not worth it dealing with sifting through these people that act like this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for humiliating my sister's boyfriend at a family gathering after what he did to her? My sister, 28 female, has been with her boyfriend, 32 male, for 3 years. She's always been the more reserved, quiet type, while he's loud, extroverted, and sometimes a little over the top. We tolerated him, but recently he crossed a serious line. A few weeks ago, my sister came to me in tears because her boyfriend had pranked her in front of his friends by pretending to propose in an elaborate setup, only to laugh in her face and say, "Just kidding, babe, you really thought I was serious?" His friends all laughed while she stood there, humiliated. She didn't break up with him, which I think she should have, but she was heartbroken. He later gave her some half-hearted excuse about how he actually had a proposal planned soon and this was just a joke gone wrong. Fast forward to this past weekend at our parents' house. We were having a big family dinner, and he was there, acting like nothing happened. While chatting, someone asked when they were getting married, and before my sister could answer, he smirked and said, "Guess she'll just have to wait and see, huh?" That was it for me. I smiled sweetly and said, "Oh, is this like how she had to wait for that hilarious fake proposal in front of all your friends? That was so funny, right? Let's all have a good laugh about it now." The table went dead silent. My sister looked mortified, but my parents looked angry at him. He stammered something about it being a joke, but my dad straight up told him, "That's not a joke, that's cruelty." He left shortly after, and now my sister is mad at me for embarrassing him and making things worse. I told her he embarrassed her first and deserved to be called out. My parents are backing me, but my sister says I've ruined things for her. Am I the a-hole? She should not marry this a-hole even if he asks. He is cruel and a very small man to do that to her. Your sister needs to know she can do so much better. Facts. Dude is a walking red flag. If this is how he treats her before marriage, imagine how bad it'll be later. She deserves way better than a guy who thinks humiliating her is comedy. If she marries this a-hole, she is doing it with eyes wide open. He will mistreat her for his entertainment, and it will get worse. You will likely go no contact because she will complain but not do anything about it. I'm sorry she thinks so little of herself that she puts up with this idiot, and I'm sorry for your family, as it will split you up. Not the a-hole. That guy is a freaking a-hole. Not only are you not the a-hole, I think he provides a target-rich environment. Open fire. Be uncomfortable. Make the tension unbearable. If she marries him, he'll destroy her entire life. Basically happy hunting. If he thinks humiliation is so funny, why is he the one running away when it happens to him? Weird how that works. Not the a-hole. The guy is an a-hole with a twisted sense of humor, to put it kindly. The fact that your sister is introverted only seems to embolden him more. There are serious red flags here. If he was 20, I could maybe see how it was an immature joke in poor taste. But he's in his 30s. He should know better. And if he truly cares about your sister, he would not hang some future proposal over her head and make jokes about it that are hurtful to her. It's just plain mean. Exactly. Dude is pushing 33, not 13. He knows what he's doing. This ain't humor. It's straight up disrespect. And the fact that he keeps pulling this on my quiet, introverted sister? Nah, that's calculated. If this is how he acts before marriage, I don't even want to think about after. Next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my cousin out after he insulted my brother at a family gathering? So, this weekend, I hosted a family gathering at my place, and let's just say it did not go as planned. The reason I wanted to do it in the first place was because my brother, who is gay, had been planning to come out to the family, and I really wanted to make sure he felt supported. He's been struggling with his identity for a while, and this was a big deal for him. I thought having everyone over at my house would create a comfortable space for him to do it, and that everyone would be there for him. At first, everything was going great. People were eating, talking, laughing. You know, the usual family stuff. But then, my brother finally got the courage to say it. He told everyone he's gay. I could see how nervous he was, but also how relieved. It was a really big moment, and I was so proud of him. But then, things took a turn. My cousin, who's around my age, mid-20s, immediately started making these awful jokes. Instead of offering support or just staying quiet like a normal person, he started cracking jokes like, "Oh, you're one of those people?" And "Gay? Really?" It was bad, but it got worse. He started making racial jokes too, saying stuff like, "Gay people of color are just confused." And I could see my brother shrinking in his seat. It was like he regretted saying anything at all. At first, I thought maybe he was just being awkward or didn't know how to react, but then he kept going. He even said something like, "It's not even a big deal. It's just a phase, right?" And that was it. I couldn't stay silent anymore. I told him to cut it out, but he just laughed and kept going. I told him again, "Knock it off. This isn't funny." But nope. He said, "Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Can you take a joke?" That's when I stood up. My brother was looking down at his plate, clearly hurt, and I just lost it. I told my cousin that he needed to leave right then and there. I told him that if he couldn't show my brother respect in my own house, he could get out. He started yelling, calling me dramatic and saying I was overreacting, but I didn't care. I was done. I told him, "Get your stuff and leave. You're not welcome here anymore." He kept arguing, but at that point, I didn't even listen. He grabbed his jacket and stormed out, still shouting that I was taking it too seriously. The rest of the family was pretty silent after that, and I could tell they were shocked. A few people came over to me and my brother afterward, saying they had my back and were glad I stood up for him. But a couple of others just kind of awkwardly stayed quiet. I'm guessing they didn't want to get involved, or maybe they just didn't know how to handle it. Now I'm second-guessing myself a little. I know I did the right thing by protecting my brother, but I can't help but wonder if maybe I overreacted by kicking him out in front of everyone. Was I too harsh? I just didn't want my brother to feel alone or unsupported, but now I'm worried that I might have caused even more drama. Am I the a-hole for kicking my cousin out after he insulted my brother? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You did the right thing having your brother's back. Your cousin is the a-hole. Thank you. My cousin's behavior was unacceptable, and I won't tolerate something like this. I will always have my brother's back and support him. If defending your brother from blatant disrespect makes you the bad guy, then so be it. A joke that humiliates someone isn't a joke. It's just cruelty with a weak punchline. Those weren't just some jokes. They were very hurtful hate comments towards my brother. Absolutely unacceptable, and I won't tolerate something like this. Never. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not covering a coworker's shift when she had babysitter issues? I work 12-hour shifts, mostly nights, but on Saturdays, I work day shifts. My boyfriend Ubers to a park near my job, and I drive there after work so he can take over driving since we live 25 miles away, and I'm extra tired from the schedule change. At 5:20 p.m., my coworker texted me asking if I could cover her shift because her babysitter was having issues. I was busy with my patient and didn't see it until 5:47 p.m. I responded, I don't think I can. I have stuff to do tomorrow that I can't cancel. I had Disneyland tickets for my little sister. When she didn't reply, I followed up with, can you let me know if you're coming in or being covered, please? I have someone picking me up today and don't know if I'll have to cancel with them too. She replied that she was on her way, so I said, okay, thank you, drive safe, and thought that was the end of it. I finish my shift, head to the park where my boyfriend is, and suddenly get hit with this message. Just an FYI, count me out on ever covering a shift for you, especially when you lie about getting picked up today when you clearly had your car. I don't appreciate liars. I had an emergency with my kids and their babysitter, yet I still managed to come to work. If you want to show this text to boss or manager, please feel free to. We can also have a conversation with them in person if you feel attacked. I am not coming at you maliciously. At the end of the day, we are coworkers, and we have to be on the same page for the patient. There will be no ill will or tension on my end, but just as you are not available for coverage, I will no longer be available when you need it. I was upset because we've never had issues in the past. However, I tried to be mature. I replied, excuse me? I'm not lying. Not that I have to explain myself to you, but on Saturdays, my boyfriend Ubers down to pick me up so I don't have to drive home exhausted. I'm not sure where the hostility is coming from. She kept calling me a liar because she saw my car. But here's the thing. This coworker has been late to shift so many times. I've waited up to 4 hours for her to show up because she had things going on with her kids. I've covered her shifts, swapped shifts, and the only times I've called off in 3 years were during the LA fires, when I wasn't sure when or if I'd have to evacuate, and once when I had food poisoning, and even then, I gave over 12 hours notice. So, what would you do in this situation? How should I handle it? Do you think I was in the wrong at all? I personally don't think so, but I'm open to hearing different perspectives. Let me know your thoughts. Don't cover for her in the future. She has clearly stated she is not your friend. It might be a good idea to show the text to your manager, depending on your manager. You are nicer than you needed to be already. She is acting inappropriately aggressively to a coworker. She's not your boss and can't punish you for not covering for her. The screenshots have already been sent to him, but I won't hear anything until Wednesday. If it was me being called a liar, I would also make sure to be extra honest with the boss about all the times she has failed to show up on time and I have had to cover her butt. But that's me, and I have been called petty. Ignore it. She needs your help far more often than you need hers. She'll come back crawling in due course if you let her. Let's hope that isn't the case anytime soon, because it'll be a big fat no.